Abandoned ship left for 117 years. Human mechanic brings it back. Online space was silent. Vast stretches of black, dotted with tiny flickers of distant stars, stretched endlessly in every direction. Ships passed each other like tiny fireflies, each carrying crews with missions, orders, or dreams. Among them, one vessel drifted alone, unmoving, almost invisible. It had been there for 117 years, left behind by the galaxy, forgotten by time. Salvage ships rarely came this far. Most crews said the place was cursed. Systems marked the ship as a derelict hazard, a vessel too old and unstable to risk exploring. But for Talon, a young human mechanic, the abandoned ship was more than danger. It was opportunity. Talon adjusted his helmet, checking his visor display. The salvage cruiser hummed softly, its engines ready, scanners flickering. His eyes were fixed on the target, a massive ship, its hull scarred and worn, floating silently among drifting asteroids. No alien engineers dared approach it. Automated drones avoided it. Only humans, with intuition and patience, could handle what lay ahead. "It's beautiful," Talon whispered, his voice almost lost in the hum of his suit's life support. Inspiration. After all these years, it's still out here, waiting. The captain of the salvage crew, a tall alien with green scales named Ryan, shook her head. "Talon, don't get sentimental. That ship is dead." Breath. "You go in there and you're risking your life for scraps." Talon smiled. Or a chance to bring something back. Something no one else could.
Ryan sighed. Humans always saw possibilities where others only saw problems.
She said nothing further. They had reached the airlock docking point. The abandoned ship loomed larger now, its hull blackened with old burn marks and asteroid scratches. Windows and panels were cracked or missing, but the structure held, testament to engineering that had survived over a century of neglect. The salvage team's drones hovered nervously near the airlock. They flickered, scanned, and then retreated. Talon's crew had long learned. Drones had limits. Humans did not. Talon suited up fully. His toolkit hung across his chest, filled with wires, sensors, and improvised repair devices. He was not a soldier, not a fighter, but in the art of understanding machines, of coaxing old technology back to life, he was one of the best. He stepped into the airlock. The pressurized doors groaned as he entered. Dust swirled in slow, lazy clouds. The air smelled faintly metallic, tinged with decay, like a machine left asleep too long. The first corridor stretched ahead, dark and silent. Talon activated his helmet lights, and a soft glow illuminated the walls. Panels hung loose, cables dangled, and in places the metal had rusted through. The floor creaked under his boots. Somewhere deep inside the ship's core whispered faintly. A pulse. Almost imperceptible, but it was there. Talon's heart quickened. "Not dead," he said quietly. Base. Every step echoed. Occasionally small lights flickered as if responding to his presence. It was subtle, almost playful, like the ship was aware that a human had come. Talon smiled. Only humans could make machines feel understood, he thought. He reached the first control room. Consoles lay in ruins, screens cracked, keyboards shattered. Ancient logs blinked weakly, fragments of data lost in time. Talon's fingers traced the circuits, feeling the patterns, reading the wear. Most would have seen junk, Talon saw potential. He connected a small diagnostic tool, a human invention of his own design. It hummed and flickered across the screens. The ship's AI, or what remained of it, responded with a faint flicker of life. Lights pulsed, tiny displays blinked, and then silence.
Talon frowned.
"Come on! Wake up!" He tried again, rerouting power through improvised circuits. Slowly, a soft voice emerged. Error. Unknown system. Awake. The voice was fragmented, weak, and hesitant. But it was alive! Talon froze for a moment.
A machine could speak after 117 years of silence. Most humans would have seen this as impossible.
But he had expected it. "Hello," Talon said gently. "I'm Talon. I can help you." There was a pause. Pair. Then the voice responded, uncertain but curious. "Human. Detected. Unknown. Assistance. Acknowledged." Talon grinned. "See? You're not alone anymore. We'll fix this together." As he continued through the corridors, Talon observed signs of the ship's long history. Cracked walls were painted with faded symbols, markings left by crews long gone. Storage rooms contained forgotten supplies, some still intact, preserved by the emptiness of space. Every corner told the story of hope, exploration, and dreams that had lasted beyond their creators' lifetimes. It was easy to forget standing here that humans themselves had been considered fragile in space. Other species thought humans too unpredictable, too soft, too emotional to handle the complexity of deep space engineering. But Talon knew better. Humans could adapt, improvise, and persist where others failed. The ship's main engine room loomed ahead. Massive machinery, corroded and silent, filled the space. Talon scanners indicated instability. One wrong move could trigger a system failure. But he wasn't deterred. He saw opportunity in the chaos. He knelt, carefully inspecting the energy conduits. Some circuits had fused over time. Others were missing entirely. Automated repair drones could not have worked here. Only a human could understand the patterns, anticipate the weaknesses, and reconnect systems in ways that machines could not. Hours passed, though Talon did not notice. Time seemed meaningless inside the silent ship. Bust and light mingled as he worked, rewiring, rerouting, improvising. Every flicker of a screen, every pulse from the engine, was a small victory. Then a faint vibration ran through the floor. Talon's heart leapt. The engine stirred. A soft hum filled the room, like a heartbeat returning after a long sleep. The AI's voice returned, stronger now, more confident. Human, significant. Input, systems partially operational. Talon laughed softly. That's right. You've still got life in you. He paused, sensing something strange. Ahead, behind a partially open maintenance hatch, he glimpsed a glow, soft, almost like a heartbeat. Curious, he approached. Inside was a small chamber, untouched by time. A capsule labeled simply Crew Preservation. Talon's breath caught. They didn't just abandon the ship. They left something behind. The AI's voice joined him, almost like a whisper.
Human. Intuition. Correct.
Preparation. Active. Preservation active. Talon's hands hovered over the control panel. This was more than a salvage job. It was a connection across time. The ship was not just metal and wires. It held memories, hope, and perhaps even life. And it was waiting for a human to understand it. He smiled, excitement and determination burning in his chest. Bay. All right, let's wake this giant. Let's see what we can bring back. Outside, the stars continued their silent dance, but inside the abandoned ship, for the first time in 117 years, life stirred again. And a human was at the center of it all. The soft hum of the ship was like a heartbeat now. Talon stood in the narrow corridor outside the small preservation chamber, staring at the glowing panel of the capsule. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The label was simple: crew preservation. A century-old warning, perhaps, or a promise of life frozen in time. He knelt and traced the control panel with his fingers. Dust clung to the edges, and some of the buttons barely responded. Yet, beneath the corrosion and decay, the technology still seemed alive. It waited for understanding. "This is incredible," Talon whispered.
They didn't just leave the ship. They preserved it. Preserved them.
Ah! The AI flickered across the wall display. Its voice was clearer now, less hesitant. Proposal. Human analysis required. Partially operational. Assistance needed. Talon smiled, feeling the familiar spark of connection only a human could make. "Don't worry," he said. "I've got this. Together we'll bring you back." He entered the preservation chamber carefully. The capsule was sleek, silver, and tall, like a vertical coffin. Inside, soft lights pulsed gently, illuminating what looked like a suspended human figure. Talon's stomach tightened. For 117 years, someone, or some people, had waited here, untouched by time, protected from decay. Impossible, Talon murmured. This tech, it's so advanced. And yet,
Patient.
It's ancient. He pulled out a scanner from his toolkit, a device he had invented himself.
unlike standard equipment, it could analyze old systems, cross-reference schematics, and adapt to missing information. Talon ran the scanner over the capsule. Lights flickered across his visor as the readout loaded. The results were astounding. "They survived," Talon said softly. "The crew is alive, just frozen in stasis. And your AI, it's been trying to keep them safe all this time." A flicker of movement appeared on the wall display. But the AI's voice sounded almost human now, curious and cautious. Decision required. Unlock preservation protocol. Talon took a deep breath. This was no longer just a salvage job. This was a bridge across time, a test of human ingenuity and patience. "Not yet," he said. "First, we need to understand the ship. We need to make sure it's safe and ready." He left the chamber, moving deeper into the ship. Corridors stretched in every direction, dark and silent, lined with fractured panels and flickering lights. Dust floated in the air, illuminated by the glow from his helmet. Every step echoed across the empty halls. The first control room he entered was massive, a command center frozen in time. Displays were cracked, keyboards shattered, but faint data streams still flickered. Talon knelt beside one of the consoles. His fingers danced across the broken interface, rerouting power through improvised circuits. "Pay." The AI's voice spoke again, now more fluent. "Human. Actions! Effective! System! Revival!" Initiated. Talon nodded. were just getting started. He spent hours moving through the ship, inspecting engines, rerouting power, and repairing old circuits. The challenge was unlike any he had faced. But some systems were fused by corrosion. Others had decayed beyond recognition. Standard methods would fail.
Only human intuition and creativity could solve the puzzle. In the engine room, massive turbines loomed silently.
The metal gleamed faintly under Talon's lights, scarred and worn but unbroken. He ran his scanner along the conduits, noting weak points, broken connections, and energy leaks. With careful improvisation, he began connecting circuits, bypassing damaged modules, and rerouting power in ways that no automated system could calculate. Hours became days. Talon worked tirelessly, eating only what he had brought, sleeping only briefly in small pods. The ship seemed to respond to his touch, almost as if it recognized human ingenuity. Bah! Every flicker of light, every pulse of the engines told him he was on the right path. Then came the first major test. The navigation system was ancient, built for a galaxy that had changed many times over in the last century. Talon accessed the main console, his fingers flying over the controls. The system blinked errors, warnings, and fragments of lost data.
"This is tricky,"
Talon muttered.
"But humans were good at tricky." He rerouted data streams manually, bridging gaps in the programming with logic, intuition, and trial and error. Slowly, the navigation system began to respond.
Maps appeared, old star charts flickering to life. The AI observed silently. Human. Approach. Unconventional. Effective, it said. Trust. Granted. Talon grinned. That's right.
Trust human creativity. We don't just follow instructions.
We figure it out.
In the storage decks, Talon discovered supplies that had survived untouched.
Best. Canned food, preserved tools, and strange alien devices whose purpose had been long forgotten. He cataloged them, taking note of what could help him revive the ship.
Every room told a story. Holographic logs flickered weakly, fragments of messages from the original crew.
One showed a captain speaking to a distant colony, hopeful and determined. Another showed a scientist examining unknown phenomena with awe. The images were faint, flickering, but the emotions were clear. Pride, curiosity, and hope. Talon felt a deep connection. Humans could relate to this even across centuries. He paused before a shattered observation window. Stars streaked by as the ship drifted silently. For a moment, he imagined the crew, awake and full of life, exploring new worlds. They had left this ship with dreams of discovery.
And now, he had the chance to honor those dreams. The AI's voice broke his thoughts.
Human. Recommendation. Further action. Bit. Required. Core. Buy it. Stability. Uncertain. Talon nodded. I know. That's why I'm here.
We'll stabilize it together.
He returned to the engine room, running diagnostics, adjusting turbines, and carefully reconnecting the main power conduit. Sparks flew occasionally, but nothing dangerous. Talon's hands moved with precision, experience, and instinct. No machine could replicate the subtle adjustments, the creative improvisation he applied. Slowly, the ship's hum grew stronger. Systems that had been dead for over a century began to awaken. Lights brightened. Displays flickered steadily. Even the air circulation improved, moving like a gentle wind through the corridors. Talon paused, listening to the sound. It was no longer the hollow echo of an abandoned vessel. It was alive, and it was responding to him. He made his way back to the preservation chamber. The AI spoke again, almost like it was testing him. Human. Crew. Awakening. Possible. Buh. He looked at the suspended figure inside. Not yet, he said softly. We need to bring the ship back first. They'll wake when the time is right.
But we're getting close. Trust me.
Birth. He placed his hand on the capsule, feeling the faint pulse of life within. The AI's voice softened.
Human connection. Acknowledged.
Operation. Systems. More responsive. Stability increasing. Talon smiled. He had not only repaired circuits and rerouted power, he had reawakened hope. The ship was responding to human touch, human patience, and human creativity. And that was something no automated system, no alien engineer could replicate. Outside, the stars continued their silent dance. The ship drifted through space, ancient but not forgotten. Inside, a human worked tirelessly, bridging a gap of 117 years. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was a savior, a connector between past and future, human and machine. Hours later, Talon leaned against a wall, exhausted but triumphant. But the engine hummed steadily. Navigation systems were online. Power was stable. And most importantly, the AI was fully functional. Tomorrow, he whispered to the silent corridors, we wake the crew, and we show them
That humans never give up. The AI responded almost reverently. Human
determination recognized.
systems ready? Awaiting further action.
Talon smiled, eyes bright despite fatigue. The puzzle of 117 years was slowly coming together, and he knew deep down that the next step, awakening the crew, would reveal the true power of human ingenuity. The abandoned ship was no longer just a relic. It was a bridge, a story, and a testament.
And at its heart, a human mechanic had brought it back from the edge of oblivion.
Talon stood before the preservation chamber, exhausted but exhilarated. For days he had worked tirelessly, repairing systems, stabilizing the engines, and reconnecting the ship's AI. Now, at last, the ship hummed steadily, its circuits alive with energy. The main engines pulsed gently, the lights glowed bright and even, and the AI's voice was strong, almost human in tone.
Human, the AI said. Ship fully operational.
Preservation chamber. Ready. Talon exhaled, a mixture of relief and anticipation filling him. He had not come this far only to hesitate.
The moment had arrived. Slowly, carefully, he activated the chamber's controls.
The soft hum of the life support system inside the capsule intensified. Lights danced along the edges, pulsing gently like a heartbeat finding its rhythm. Bah.
Let's see if you're still with us, Talon whispered, his hands steady despite his pounding heart. Inside the capsule, the suspended figure began to move subtly.
Fingers twitched, eyelids fluttered, and the chest rose and fell slightly as life returned. Talon watched, amazed. Even after 117 years, the crew could awaken. Only careful human attention, patience, and understanding had made this possible. The first crew member opened their eyes. Confusion and wonder filled them as the life support systems adjusted to their return. They did not speak immediately. Words were not necessary. Their eyes met Talon's, and in that silent moment a bond was formed. The AI spoke again, calmer, almost reverent. Human. Connection. Successful. Awakening complete. Talon smiled. Welcome back. You've been asleep a long time. Great. He began to assist the crew member out of the capsule, carefully monitoring their vitals and helping them adjust. One by one, the others began to stir, eyes opening to a galaxy they had not seen for over a century. Some were disoriented, weak from stasis, but Talon's guidance was patient and steady. He treated them as equals, not patients, showing respect and empathy that no machine could provide. The crew gradually regained strength, moving carefully through the chamber.
Their movements were tentative but growing confident.
They looked around at the revived ship, awe and gratitude shining in their eyes.
You did this? One of them asked, voice hoarse from long silence.
Bait. After all this time, you repaired the ship?
Talon nodded. Yes.
And it wasn't me alone, it was us.
You, the AI, and me. Together, we've brought this ship back to life. The crew exchanged glances, amazed at what humans could do. They had never expected the ship to be fully operational again, certainly not by a single mechanic. Talon's ingenuity, persistence, and careful touch had made the impossible possible. As the crew adjusted to life outside the capsule, Talon took them on a tour of the ship.
He showed them the repaired engines, the restored navigation system, and the control rooms buzzing with renewed energy. They marveled at his work, clearly impressed by the creativity and skill it had taken to restore systems that had been abandoned for over a century.
Humans, the AI murmured softly. Adaptable.
Unpredictable. Necessary. Talon chuckled. We like to think that's our specialty. The crew began to access the ship's logs, reading messages left by their predecessors. Beasts.
Each entry was a window into the past, voyages across unexplored space, scientific discoveries, and personal notes filled with hope and excitement.
Talon watched them read, noticing how the memories inspired awe and determination. Even after 117 years, the human spirit remained strong.
Your work, it's incredible, one crew member said, looking at Talon with admiration. We never thought the ship could survive this long.
You've done more than repair metal and circuits. You've restored hope. Talon smiled, humbled. Humans, we never give up.
That's all there is to it. The ship's AI continued to provide information about remaining systems and hidden maintenance areas.
Talon used the knowledge to improve efficiency and reinforce stability. The engines hummed smoother, lights glowed more evenly, and the navigation system updated with new star charts and routes.
The ship was no longer abandoned. It was alive. Days passed as Talon worked alongside the revived crew.
They learned from each other, combining human creativity with centuries-old knowledge stored in the ship.
The engineers shared insights about forgotten systems, while Talon offered improvisations and innovative solutions no one had imagined.
One evening, Talon paused in the main control room, gazing out at the stars. The ship drifted smoothly through space, its hull gleaming in the light of distant suns. He thought about what he had accomplished. He had taken a vessel left for dead, a forgotten relic of the past, and restored it to life. More importantly, he had reminded everyone, crew, AI, and even himself, what humans were capable of. A sudden alert flickered on the main console. The navigation system had detected a nearby star cluster, one the original crew had intended to explore before the ship's abandonment. Talon's eyes lit up. Psst. Looks like our journey isn't over, he said with a grin. We've got new horizons to explore. The crew members gathered around, their faces glowing with renewed purpose. After more than a century of waiting, they were finally ready to continue their mission. And they would do it with a human mechanic who had proven that ingenuity, determination, and patience could overcome even the most impossible challenges. As the ship prepared to move, the AI spoke, its voice filled with admiration. Human. Impact. Extraordinary.
Systems. Fully synchronized. Crew operational.
By future secure. Talon placed a hand on the console, feeling the vibration of the engines through his fingers. Not just secure, he said softly. Alive. We're alive. And this ship, this crew, will see the stars again.
The engines powered up fully, emitting a steady, powerful hum.
Lights danced along the corridors, illuminating every corner with warmth and life. The ship was no longer a relic of the past. It was a testament to human spirit, a symbol of persistence, creativity, and hope. The crew, once frozen in time, now moved with purpose, exploring the ship, checking systems, and familiarizing themselves with their surroundings. Talon worked beside them, guiding, teaching, and improvising. They had a long journey ahead, but together they were unstoppable. For the first time in 117 years, the abandoned ship had a heartbeat. Not just the hum of its engines, but the living energy of humans, AI, and restored hope. It drifted through space, ready to explore, ready to fulfill the dreams left unfinished a century ago. Talon looked around at the revived crew, their faces filled with wonder and gratitude. By it, he realized something profound. Humans were not just mechanics, explorers, or dreamers. They were bridges between the past and the future, between machine and life, between despair and hope. As the ship prepared to leave the silent expanse it had drifted in for over a century, Talon's voice echoed through the control room.
117 years!
But it only took human determination to bring it back. Let's see where we can go next. The crew nodded, inspired. The AI's lights pulsed in agreement, and the stars stretched out before them, infinite, waiting. The abandoned ship, once forgotten, now moved with purpose. And at its heart, a human mechanic had reminded the galaxy what it meant to never give up. The engines hummed steadily, a soft but powerful vibration running through the hull. Bespecta. The abandoned ship had been silent for 117 years, but now it thrived with life, energy, and purpose. Talon stood on the bridge, hands resting on the console, eyes scanning the revived systems. He felt the satisfaction of a job well done, but he also knew the true test was just beginning.
The crew had fully awakened.
They moved through the corridors with a mix of awe and careful curiosity. They had been asleep for over a century, and the galaxy they once knew had changed. Yet, despite the passage of time, they were ready to reclaim their mission, and they were guided by a human mechanic who had proven his brilliance. "Systems are stable," Talon announced, his voice steady. "Engines at full capacity, navigation aligned. Bad.
Life support fully operational. We're ready to move."
One of the crew members, a young woman with bright eyes that reflected curiosity and determination, approached him.
You did this alone?
Bime. We're almost alone? After all these years? I don't understand how a single human could accomplish what the galaxy said was impossible. Talon smiled, shrugging slightly.
Humans. We find ways.
Machines follow rules. Aliens follow patterns. But humans, we improvise. breath. We persist. And we never give up. The crew members exchanged glances, impressed not only by Talon's skill but also by the quiet power of human determination. They had learned, through him, that ingenuity and patience could overcome even the most impossible challenges. The AI spoke, its voice now steady and confident. Human. Efficiency. Remarkable. Crew. Fully operational.
Systems!
Bera. Synchronized. Mission. Continuation possible. Talon nodded. That's right. We'll continue. We'll explore. And we'll do it together. He moved to the navigation console, carefully plotting a course. The ship's long dormant navigation system had been tricky, filled with missing data, corrupted files, and outdated charts. But Talon had repaired it, patched it with ingenuity, and restored its functionality. The stars ahead glimmered like a pathway through the darkness, inviting them into new adventures. As he worked, the crew gathered around, fascinated by the revived systems. They had seen many things in their past missions, but nothing like this. A ship abandoned for over a century, brought back to life by a human mechanic. They realized that humans could do more than they had ever imagined. Suddenly, a small alarm beeped softly from the navigation console. Talon's eyes narrowed. The sensors had detected a dense asteroid field ahead, a region that had shifted significantly since the ship's last course. Looks like our first real test, Talon said. But don't worry, we've handled worse. The crew moved quickly, helping him monitor systems and adjust the ship's trajectory. They worked as a team, guided by Talon's expertise and improvisation. Engines adjusted, shields recalibrated, and the ship glided through the asteroid field with surprising agility. Every decision Talon made was precise, yet adaptive.
The ship responded to human touch in ways no machine could replicate.
As the last asteroid passed, the crew erupted in quiet cheer. The ship had survived, intact, and ready to continue its journey. Talon allowed himself a small grin.
It was moments like these that proved humans could handle what others considered impossible.
Passed, and the ship moved steadily through uncharted regions of space. Talon continued to work alongside the crew, refining systems, stabilizing energy flows, and optimizing engines. Each improvement was subtle but critical, but AI observed silently, learning from Talon's approach, recognizing the human touch that could not be replicated. One evening, Talon stood in the observation deck, looking out at a nebula glowing with brilliant colors. The sight was breathtaking, a reminder that the galaxy was vast, full of wonder, and waiting for those brave enough to explore it. The crew gathered beside him, awe reflected in their eyes.
This is why we explore, Talon said softly. Not for fame, not for glory, but to see, to learn, and to keep moving forward.
Bass. Humans, we never stop reaching. The crew nodded, understanding the truth in his words. They had awoken after 117 years of stasis, brought back not only to life, but to purpose. And the human who had restored the ship had shown them that determination, creativity, and ingenuity could surpass even the most advanced technology. The AI spoke again, almost reverently. Verse, human. Input. Extraordinary. Revitalized. Mission secured. Talon smiled, feeling the vibration of the engines beneath his hands. Not just secured, alive.
We're alive, and we'll continue to explore, discover, and create new stories.
The ship glided past the nebula, stars stretching infinitely ahead. Talon felt a sense of calm and pride. Every panel he had repaired, every circuit he had rewired, every system he had restored, it all mattered. The ship was alive because humans cared. It was alive because humans persisted. It was alive because humans believed in possibility. The crew began to settle into their roles, checking systems, exploring the restored corridors, and marveling at the ingenuity of the human mechanic who had saved them. Talon moved among them, guiding, teaching, and sharing his knowledge. They laughed, joked, and marveled at the ship, realizing that the impossible had become reality. Suddenly, the ship's AI indicated a distant signal, faint but clear. Another vessel, lost in uncharted space, had emitted a distress call. A call that might never have been answered if not for the revived ship. Talon's eyes gleamed. Bang. Looks like we've got company. Let's see how humans can help next.
The crew rallied quickly, coordinating with Talon to adjust course.
Patience. Engines roared softly, shields recalibrated, and the ship moved toward the signal. Once again, human creativity and determination led the way. Machines could follow instructions, but humans could anticipate, adapt, and improvise. As the signal grew stronger, the crew prepared for first contact. Talon smiled, thinking of the journey so far.
A ship abandoned for 117 years had been revived.
A crew frozen in time had been awakened, and all because one human mechanic refused to give up, refused to see limits where others saw only decay. The ship moved steadily through space, alive, vibrant, and unstoppable. Stars glimmered in endless rows, nebulae shimmered in distant corners, and planets awaited exploration. And at the heart of it all, a human had reminded the galaxy what humans were capable of. Talon stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch into infinity. 117 years, he whispered, and nothing lasts longer than human determination.
The ship sailed forward, a symbol of ingenuity, hope, and resilience.
The crew worked alongside their human savior, their purpose renewed.
The AI observed, learning, and finally understanding that the human touch was unique, unparalleled, and essential.
And as the abandoned ship, now alive, glided through uncharted space, Talon knew the truth of the HFY legacy. Humans could rise above expectation, restore the impossible, and bring life to what others had forgotten. The galaxy was vast, and the journey had only just begun. But one thing was certain. Wherever humans went, hope, creativity, and determination would follow. Base. For the abandoned ship left for 117 years, it was no longer abandoned. It was alive.
And it would continue to explore, to discover, and to show the galaxy the power of human ingenuity.